Michelle.
This is your girl Mariah, also known as Mariah Amazing.
And you are tuned into Melanin Voices. Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. So, before we really get into starting, I want to introduce a very special guest that we have on the show today. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Jo. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I am Michelle's sister-in-law. I do also have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel name is TheJoShow. I focus on fitness videos, beauty videos, and lifestyle videos. So if you want to go check it out.
Perfect. Well, we love having guests on the show, right, Mariah?
Yes, for sure. We do.
Yes, guests are always nice. So definitely go and support her and subscribe to her YouTube channel because that's what we are doing this podcast for, to support each other.
Yes, and you can see her appearance in my my Curl Fest vlog. You can see an appearance of Jo in there. So if you check that out, you already know where her YouTube is because I linked it on this actual vlog. So, you know.
Yes, go check it out, please.
Right. And if you haven't already seen Mariah's vlog, then you definitely need to tune in.
Yeah, y'all missing out. That's what that is.
Yes, you're missing out. So go support. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to go ahead and get started on Melanin Media today. Mariah's really upset with me because she wants to talk about Insecure.
As you all do, right?
We do want to talk about it.
I bet you all do, but unfortunately, I was on the phone with my cable people for about an hour for some odd reason. It's the only show that wouldn't let me watch. So, therefore, we're not gonna talk about it because I don't like spoiler alerts, and you gotta knock my spoilers for me. So, sorry, we're not
next week, guys. She won't have an excuse.
Until next week, we can talk about both episodes and how they, hand in hand, whatever. But let's go ahead and move into. Let's talk about nasty, dirty, nasty. If it's true, Usher.
I just want to know why it took so long.
As far as him contracting it, like at that point, he needs to be aware of like his sexual encounters. I heard though that I don't know for sure. Obviously, this is word of mouth, but I did hear that as they were about to have intercourse. She's seen some green discharge come out of his penis, and she asked him, was that like a sign of anything? He was like, no. So sis, why are you fucking a guy that has green shit coming out of his dick?
I know.
At that point,
okay, I don't know.
But I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm just saying, I personally, if I see something green coming out of somebody's genitals, I'm not gonna proceed with the sexual act. It's not that deep. That's just me.
But my thing is, when did all this happen? Because, I know it's just coming to light now, but when did this all take place?
I'm not sure. I know that she supposedly, this is what I'm reading, obviously, but I heard in records that I was reading, was that, she was a friend, a bridesmaid actually, in his wife's wedding. And that's how they connected, because obviously that was her friend, she was a bridesmaid. So there's that connection, but then they begin to date. I'm not sure if they were dating while they were married or after they got married. I'm not really blurry on that. They didn't really say anything. But it happened some years ago, and he gave her some hush money, but the documents got leaked. We don't know who leaked the documents, but the documents did get leaked out to the public.
Okay, either way, he could have, you have herpes, you got herpes. He's not walking around because with herpes, you have, outbreaks. So he should know that something, green stuff or not, that should automatically, alarm in your head, go to the doctors, figure out what's going on. Even if he didn't contract it from himself, someone else gave it to him, I'm pretty sure. At the end of the day, you do not need to have unprotected sex with anyone if you see that, you are having, outbreaks or something weird is going on. So you would think that he would be grown about it and not want to hurt anyone, but clearly Usher still, he hard to love. Why is he hard to love? That's that album he just put out because he ain't right. So I just want, people who are listening to this, so if you see something down there and that is not normal, that's green stuff, smelly stuff, bumps, itches, anything that's not familiar, ladies, you see a dude coming with green stuff, he said it's nothing. I want you to Google green stuff coming out your pee and see what comes up. And if they say don't do it,
true.
Then don't do
and
it.
Supposedly he did get checked and he said that he came back and was negative, but I don't know how true that can be because, anyways, all I'm saying is sometimes you don't even get outbreaks as having herpes. So I'm gonna piggyback off what Michelle was saying and just get checked anyway, even if you don't see nothing. If you're sexually active, you need to be getting checked frequently. Period. So you need to just take care of yourself, even if you feel like you look fine, you feel fine, you still need to get checked. Just because the signs aren't there don't mean that there can be something underlying. So just get checked, guys.
So the next one that I definitely want to talk about was Coco. Coco is Ice-T's wife. She got her hair done, or she did some braids, weave braids at that. They're all pushed to one side, and she called them Coco braids or Coco something like she calls her hair. She gave it a name or whatever, and people really gave her a lot of backlash on like cultural appropriation. Like basically she owned something that she didn't create. And she was like making all these videos about it, and she was very upset. So I just wanted to see what you ladies thought about, white women wearing braids or weave and then calling it their own.
Yeah, I don't know.
My personal opinion is I don't think Coco didn't mean anything by it. I mean, I think she was just naming her braids because that is her personality. I mean, people also come at Kim K and Kylie for cultural appropriation as well. And so I think that they're gonna come at any white women for getting braids. I just don't think that she meant it in that way. I just don't believe it was that serious, but social media is gonna tear you apart anyway. So
yeah, I don't even know about this story. I just hearing Michelle talk about it, I'm just like, why would she call it Coco braids? Like, why couldn't she just say just got my hair braided? Or because I'm not, even me as an African American woman, I'm not going out saying just got these Mariah braids. Mariah. You know what I mean? Like, the braids, that's what they are. And I got my hair braided. Like, I don't feel the need to, like, claim it as my own. I think that's probably why they were so upset that she was trying to claim it as her own. Not that she got her hair braided initially, because we know that's Coco. She don't, but to name it as her own is where that anger came from. But I don't know.
Right. I just think black women are sick of people taking stuff from us. So anything that you try to take from us, again, we're going to go at your head. We're going to cut your neck off, because do not take anything away from us, because we are the creators. We are, we started
to claim it.
We are like sick of people taking away stuff from us. So that's why we jump hard on people who don't give us respect first, or even just recognize that it's not yours. Like, the moment you put your name on it, you being a white woman, your age, whatever, other white women may say, oh, that is so nice, you did that yourself, those are yours. Like, no, you give it's like you have to consult the blueprint, and the blueprint is black women.
But my thing is, what was she gonna say? I just like to give thanks. These are the black braids. Like, what was she supposed to say?
No, she wasn't supposed to say anything. I was just saying, like, you just don't put your name on something that's not yours. It's like putting your name on a song that's not yours.
Yeah, no, I get that. I was just thinking that's just part of her personality. She must have a very bright personality, like naming things after. That's what I thought.
Okay.
But no, I know.
I don't know. I think we're so upset because, well, I feel as though we get upset because when we do it, it's, with the braid, the boxer braids. No, they're not. They're called cornrows. But with the cornrows, when they had it done, it was boxer braids and it was seen as cute. When we wear it, it's ugly. Or if we got baby hairs, that's ghetto. But they do it, it's cute. It's high fashion. Or the long nails. Black people in the hood been wearing long nails since the beginning of time. And we do it, it's ghetto, unsanitary, not cute, all that stuff. They do it, it's cute. The newest craze. Like, we've been doing this. So, can we get some kind of credit?
Yeah, I just want the credit. That's all.
Nothing wrong with it. Just want the credit.
Very true.
Nothing wrong with it.
You both get your braids, just don't rename them.
Exactly.
Get your hair did, girl. Do you?
All right. And I know I want to quickly talk about this next one. I'm not sure if you guys watch sports like that, but I like sports, so I thought it was something that I think was something that's happening in the media today that I think that needs to be discussed a little bit. And it's Kyrie Irving leaving the Cavs. So I guess word on the street is that Kyrie Irving is leaving because he no longer wants to be in LeBron James' shadow. And I think that is, I don't think anything's wrong with that. Honestly, like, he wants to get, it's almost like a respect thing. And it's like, if you working under, LeBron James, who's considered to me one of the best basketball players in history, then you're never going to be seen as number one. So I can completely agree, like, maybe why he decided to take his own route and maybe, start his own legacy that he needs to create. And I think everyone needs to respect that of what he's doing. And so should LeBron. LeBron should respect that too. Like, he shouldn't be upset. So not sure if you guys have anything to say about that one, but I definitely wanted to bring that to the air.
I've been seeing a lot about it on social media. I didn't know that was the reason, but it does make a lot of sense on why he wants to leave for that reason. So I totally agree.
I seen a lot of parodies. This guy called Supreme Dreams 1. I don't know if you guys seen that. I gotta send y'all the link to that. It's so funny. He made a video about it and it was hysterical. Like, he was just reenacting how LeBron made the phone call to Kyrie, so upset with him and everything. But that's my knowledge of it was. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess I get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you, boo?
I know. Another crazy thing that happened, Mariah, you wanted to talk about was R. Kelly and his crazy,
he did it.
like,
that's it. We can move forward. He did it. Anyways, the movie Girl Trip, though, was a really good movie. Everybody go see it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Mariah, you saw
that movie was amazing. I'm out here in these streets trying having fun, living life. Zestful. But no, Girl Trip was so fun. Please go see it.
Okay, I'm going to go see it this weekend.
Please, and you too, Joe. Go with her and Jeff.
We're going to see it.
We're going to go see the Girls Trip.
We'll talk about that and Insecure.
Talk about more about it in that and Insecure next week. Okay.
What did y'all want to touch on? Did you want to touch on R. Kelly thing again?
It's up to you. I mean,
No, I just wanted to say that he has a history of this, so people who are very shocked and saying, "Oh my God, I can't jump to conclusions on this." Why? Why can't you? Why? He has a history of this. People who are very slow to believe this story is really weird to me, because I'm just like, he has a history of doing so. It'd be different if it was like, oh my God, where did this come from? Like the Bill Cosby thing, we're all like, oh my God, Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
But this, we have, there's allegations leading up to this. Like, this ain't nothing new.
But is it true that the parents of the girls knew that they were going there, that they dropped them off themselves? I heard that.
I don't know. See, possibly.
That's what I heard, and that's why
I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, I've heard that too, and that they didn't. So we don't know, but I just find it hard to believe that it's not true, because it's R. Kelly.
I know. Well, let's go ahead and move on. I know we had a lot of media today because I feel like we was backed up a little bit, so we got that out. Straight diarrhea. Anyway, so our hot button topic for today is how to move out of your parents' house and transitioning to a new state and more. I said and more because there's so many different ways that you can transition from state to state, or if it's moving out of your parents' house, or is this strictly kind of transitioning from one part of your life to the next. So transition can mean a lot of several things, but I think the key to transitioning, I think the keys to a successful transition are the same. So I do want to talk briefly about, what those keys are, and also discuss maybe, why us as millennials, I feel like, are staying home longer. And I think I have seen a trend of this, and I do want to discuss it more. And I hope you had some great Snapchat convos of people who do still live at home, and maybe what they're trying to do to transition out, or they're not trying to transition out because, they may seem like it's not something they can do right now. So let's talk about it. The first question was, are you still living with your parents, and why? If you are. Mariah.
Well, I am. So I've talked about it before on the show. So yes, I am. I initially moved here after being in college for quite some time and living on my own. It was a different transition for me, but the way I started moving with my parents was different from others. My father had needed me to stay at home for family matters, and so I was staying there. And then after he was fine, I moved in with my mom and my stepfather for financial reasons. So we were all needing help financially. So I was like, well, this is a good move to stay here. So it just made sense. And so I've been staying here because initially I would have stayed with my friend Mikkel. She had a boyfriend. I didn't feel comfortable staying with them too. So I decided to just stay at home with my parents. They needed my help. And I needed their help, clearly. So that's my why.
Okay. I no longer live with my parents. I did move back home not a year, but right after I graduated from college back in 2014. I told myself that I was going to go home only for a year to make sure that I looked for a job in a different state. I told myself I was not applying to any jobs in Colorado because I was really motivated and passionate about moving out of Denver and exploring things outside of Colorado. So I did move back home, and I'm happy because I did set my goal. Like right at the year mark, I had got a job acceptance in New York City. So that's when I had transitioned out of my parents' house. And specifically, the reason why I'm probably not living at my parents' house is because I got a job in a different state. Now, if I was to tell you, if I was still living in Colorado right now, would I be living with my parents? I might be, depending on my life situation. So I guess it all depends on your finances and also, what I exactly wanted to do. So that's why I no longer live at my parents' house. What about you, Joe?
Well, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and I just recently graduated in December, and I left in January to move to New York City. I moved in with my lovely Michelle and my brother Jeff. So if I was living in Buffalo, I'm pretty sure I would still be living with my parents, only because I feel as though I just didn't want to pay for the area. If I was going to pay for rent, I wouldn't want to move out to a whole different other state. And that's my reasoning. But I would definitely still probably be at home if I was still living in Buffalo. So
cool. So what do you ladies think of why maybe a lot of people do still stay at home living with their parents in general, from like different?
It's a support system and way to save, because our student loans are hitting for shit. Like my student loans is hella high, and like the cost of living here is hella expensive. Like it's not cheap. So the people that I do know that are living on their own aren't living on their own. They're living with roommates. So it's like, live with roommates or are you living with your parents? Just because the cost of living is so high and they're not trying to pay you what you should be getting paid. You just got a degree and they're trying to pay you like $15 an hour to do something that's more than an entry-level job. So personally, that's what I've seen. That's the reasoning for what I've seen people, millennials our age, are. Because our parents, they didn't have like super high student loan debt, and they didn't have the problem of getting a job where it paid for the cost of living. Like they didn't have those problems. Like they didn't have to pay $1,500 or $1,600 in rent for a 1-bedroom while working a $15 an hour job and trying to make ends meet. From what I know, it was just a little bit different back then.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mariah. The cost of living is really high, and since we are, especially me, new graduates, like I wouldn't be in a rush to pay for rent as soon as I graduate. Let me get my job, let me get my feet wet, let me get secured, and then I'll move out. I mean, especially I don't have any kids, like I would be fine at home if I was still living with my parents. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there is research done that shows maybe college has put, millennials or people into in more debt, to the point where it's not as easy to sustain a life basically outside of your parents' house or living on your own, which is something that hopefully that is being taken into considerate, because if college loans are actually putting us below and unemployment rates are down, then clearly this isn't the key to, you know, creating more money, because clearly we're not making more money. And our student loans are just increasing, and then also the cost of living. So that's just something that's probably something to consider with the reasoning why maybe so many people still live at home with their parents in this kind of crisis.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends that moved out early, and they tell me all the time that they wish they could move back in with their parents. I don't think it's a thing of mooching off your parents. I think it's more of being resourceful. So that's what I think.
Yeah, if you're saving, I feel like it's a great way. It's great to stay at home. But if you're staying at home and you're going check to check, is it helping you? Probably not. Probably not. So if you're not saving, then most likely you're in a predicament where you're going to be staying at your parents for 10 plus, you know, more years to come. So that's unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I agree. Like, staying at home, it's different. I feel like you should be saving. Some people have that situation where they have support. I know a lot of my friends, they live in a situation, you know, they can stay at home, not pay rent, and like just save their checks. So in that situation, I'm like, you definitely should be saving and, you know, trying to pay off your debt. I personally don't live in that kind of situation where I can just not pay rent and contribute. I'm sure my family would never force me to pay rent, but I just visually seeing them not being as financially stable as other families, and then me just sitting around like not helping and just pocketing all my money, I just couldn't do it personally. But if you're in that situation to where your parents are well off or are okay with you moving in without paying, then you definitely should be saving up so you're not even in that kind of situation when you do leave. You can, you know, sustain yourself when you leave the house.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mindset. It seems like people do want to transition from, you know, moving with their parents. I'm pretty sure if you ask people, do you want to live with your parents for the rest of, you know, the rest of your life, or till you're about 35, most people will say no. And most people would say, you know, I do want to have my own place one day. I do want to do certain things. But let's talk about maybe what kind of mindset do you guys think that you need to have to be able to transition. And I can specifically talk about maybe some of the key things that I've done in my transition that I had to do to make sure that when I did move out of my parents' house, that I wasn't going back. And I think that's something that we all should take into consideration if we are trying to make a big move or transition out of our parents' house, or even transition into, you know, a new state or whatever the case may be. So what do you guys think about what key things do you think you need to have? How about Joe? How about you? You moved. What do you think? What kind of mindset did you need to have to transition from, you know, you randomly moved out of your parents' house and then into your brother's apartment? So what kind of mindset do you think you need to have?
I think you have to have a lot of ambition, but I also think you have to realize it's going to be a lot of sacrifice. I went from, you know, having my own little room, having my own space, to Michelle and Jeff's couch, you know, so it's definitely going to be a lot of sacrifice. If you want to do it, then you just got to do it. And I think it's going to take a lot of hustling, a lot of saving. But if that's what you want to do, then I believe that's what you have to do. It's a lot of sacrifice. That's what I think.
Right. Agreed. Agree with Joe. But no, seriously, I agree with Joe. Like, you definitely have to want to do it because, you know, as I talk about some people's situations where they live at home with their parents and, you know, their parents are helping them out financially, not giving them money, but like helping them, like, hey, you don't have to pay for anything. You're like, we got it. Like, you just do you save. You should definitely not take advantage of that and save. Actually save. And I know it may be a little bit hard, you know, you ain't paying for rent, so it's easier to like spend that money, but I definitely feel as though if you're saving and paying off your debt and just have like a goal to where you want to be very soon, then it's very achievable to leave. Personally, I'm saving and I know where I would like to be location wise in the next few upcoming months. So I mean, it's just a matter of just setting goals and trying to I guess reach those goals. It's not easy because I'm still looking for a job like a year after I've been out of school, so I'm not going to say it's easy. Like, I have a job, but not what I ideally want. So just trying to stay encouraged through those hard times and not getting what you want or being where you want to be exactly at the time you wanted to be at.
Yeah, definitely. I know one of the bad things I've seen from people who do live at home with their parents, and I'm thinking, you go out to eat every weekend, you have new clothes and new shoes all the time, you asking other people still for money, and you pay no rent. So I think a big thing is, I've noticed, and even when I've talked to some adults, a couple of parents, even when I was just out there in Denver, I had spoke to a few people about, what is the difference between our generation and the generation before us. And I do think that the generation before us, which is my parents' generation, I'm not sure which generation that is, can't put my finger on it, but I think they seen their parents come up as middle class. They talk about how a lot of things, maybe their friends and some of the things that they had to get, they had to either steal for it or they were poor. And I think that was just in a rough financial situation back then. So middle class parents, where they were, they're coming up and they seen their parents have to work really hard, and they're finally in this status where they could buy their kids certain things. But it wasn't the best things on the block, basically, put it that way. And they told themselves, a lot of them had similar stories where they said, when I have kids, they're not going to want for anything. They're going to be able to have all the shoes, all the clothes, anything that they want, they're going to be able to have, because I don't want my kids to go out and steal it or take it, because that's how I was raised, or that's how was what I've seen in the black community in general. So I do think maybe as parents that maybe those parents have let their kids kind of lag off a little bit with, yes, you can stay at home, you don't need to pay me rent, but at the same time, it's like, are parents holding their kids accountable for, can I help you save your money? Or are you having those conversations where, even as yourself, if you want to transition out of your parents' house, are you thinking like, I know my parents are going to be here for me, they're not really going to ask me for money, but also at the same time, am I putting a certain amount of money away? Or do I need to eat out every weekend? Or is some of this money that I'm spending, is it really worth it? Or I should be able to put this money away. I should be able to put a whole check away every month to be able to set myself up to even have, a house or an apartment or whatever the case may be. So I think there's too many times where I hear so many excuses behind, why I'm not transitioning, or it's really expensive. But at the same time, I think there needs to be some accountability with yourself. If you want to transition, then you need to come up with a budget. You need to come up with the way that you're going to save your money. And if you are going to transition and you're going to make a big leap, what is going to happen once you get there? And are you going to be able to stay there once you get there? Because the last thing you want to do is like take this big leap, have this going away party where everyone's happy, they're excited, you got a new apartment, you got a new place, and then you return home the next like few months. And it's funny because that's what a lot of parents' friends, like I remember when I had my going away party, my mom's friends were like talking to each other, like of course whispering, because that's what females do. And they're like, she's going to be back. Yeah, right. People expect you to fail, and I think at the same time, it's like, if you're going to make that transition and you really want to move and you want to do what you got to do, but you got to prove people wrong by setting realistic goals for yourself where you're going to be financially stable once you leave. And that's not meaning you still got to call your parents once you move to your new apartment for gas money. That means, I'm putting this money away for all of these certain things. And I think that's something that we need to be more considerate of and stop. I think a lot of times when we do make excuses or put a pillow under, we have all these different issues. But at the same time, I think, what else can you spend your money on, or how else can you save your money so you can set yourself up to, be on your own? And that's just my own, opinion about, the transition and what you need to think about.
Agree.
Yeah, like Michelle was saying, it's gonna take a lot of sacrifices, like going out to eat, going out to the clubs every weekend, buying all this new stuff for the clubs. Like it's gonna take a lot of sacrifice to do it.
Definitely. So I also want to talk about another question that I had was, would you like to move out of state? And I've heard a lot of people, especially some of my friends, that, you know, if you lived your whole life in a specific state, a lot of times you do want to explore, you want to transition, and you want to move out of the state that you live in. And what do you guys think? I know, Mariah, you have goals to transition out of Colorado. What do you think it takes to, transition to a different state? And what barriers have you noticed in your process?
Kind of what I was saying earlier, just saving for sure, and just setting goals that you need to achieve. And the barriers I've noticed is that I'm not getting no job. I'm still here. But, the barriers that I've noticed are that it's just kind of like, for me personally, my own personal barriers are just feeling like, oh, well, damn, I should just move. Like, I should just leave and just move and it'll just happen. I get those kind of barriers as to where I'm like trying to just dive right in. But, that's really what I've noticed so far for myself personally. I've literally just noticed the barrier that, oh, I'm not getting these jobs that I would like to get for whatever reason. It may be due to me not having the experience of being in this position for too long and not having the experience that I need to get the jobs that I want, or just whatever the case is. But that's what I've noticed. But as far as saving, definitely doing that. As far as paying down my debt, definitely doing that. And as far as setting goals and actually trying to reach those goals, doing that for sure. So I definitely think once those things are aligned, then you'll be fine if you really want to move to another state, or just move out in general. Like, you don't have to move to another state. If you love your state, perfect. But I think just be real with yourself if you actually want to leave. If you don't want to leave the nest, that's totally fine. Like, this episode is not about you having to leave the nest. It's more so about being honest with yourself if you want to leave the nest or not, and exactly ways to achieve that. And I find for myself, setting goals, sticking firm to them, and trying to be encouraged when I don't hit them every time has kind of helped me to keep going.
It's so funny that we're talking about this because Michelle and I were just having a conversation about this yesterday. I currently live in New York City right now, but I eventually do want to relocate to another city. I'm checking out a couple different cities as we speak now. So basically agreeing with Mariah on the saving thing and also having a plan. And girl, it is hard out here trying to get a job. Like, I know, like, it's definitely hard. So basically you just having a plan, and once you get that job, at least you got the job to leave. So I think it's just going to be about taking baby steps and, hoping your plan goes through.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to give kind of just a few tips on like how I transition from one state to the next, and hopefully if that's something that, or even transitioning in general, and some of the crazy things that you have to think about, even if it's you want to set yourself up financially. And that's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, okay, I want to move out of a different state, but how am I going to set myself up financially? Originally, I did not want to move to New York City. This happened on a fly, and God knows why I'm here. But I originally wanted to move to Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida was my first pick because I was like, this is the best place ever. I was going on vacation there. My ex-boyfriend was from Florida. I was like, all right, Florida dudes ain't that bad. And Florida has like this, southern hospitality thing that I really enjoyed. And plus it had a beach. So it was something I really wanted to do. But I was thinking, okay, how do I set myself up financially? So I was looking up organizations online. I was like, okay, what can I do in the education field that can, relocate me? And mind you, I was, looking to do being a teacher. So I found this organization called City Year, where they are located in different states. And I applied for City Year to Miami originally. And I put all my eggs in this basket. I did the essay. I was really nervous. And I finally got accepted to City Year. And I was on my way to Miami. I swear I was on my way to Florida. And I understood that the stipend was very short. But I knew it was something that could at least get me there. I could, work with a stipend, get a roommate, and apply to different jobs while I was there. And I'm pretty sure in the next few months I was going to get something. And my plan was to leave City Year because I like material things. And I knew City Year wasn't going to be able to afford, the things that I needed. But, long story short, I decided to I met Jeffrey in Miami, Florida. And I figured it was a sign for me to move to New York City. I was like, oh, New York City don't sound that bad. Let me try that out. So I did make a commitment to apply to every job in New York City, every teaching job, even any admin assistant job. I applied to temp positions and things like that. And it took me about 8 months before I got accepted a job in New York City. But to give you guys a quick timeline, it does take time. And the first 4 to 5 months, I was using my Colorado address. So that was one tip that I also want to give you guys, is that if you know someone in the state that you want to relocate to, use their address on your resume. A lot of jobs are looking at something where they don't want you to ask, would you pay for me to relocate? Knowing you're like, I'll start tomorrow, I'll pack my bags tonight, and I will be on the next flight out in the morning. A lot of jobs are not looking, they won't look specifically for that when they're trying to hire someone. So I used Jeffrey's address, and lo and behold, I was getting a couple interviews, and I finally got something. So it did take some time, and mind you, the job that I did get, I had an interview there the next 2 days. So they didn't know I didn't live in New York City. I had to pretend that I was living there. I got a plane ticket the next day and flew out to New York City for 1 day for my interview. And thank God I got the job, because it was expensive, but I knew I had to do whatever it took to make sure that I set myself up to get this job. So that means you guys want to transition to a different state, or whatever the case, whatever you want to do, you have to be willing to jump when it's time to jump. That's what I think a lot of people get really fearful about, is that they want to move, and you talk about, I want to transition out of my parents' house, or I want to transition out of this relationship, anything that you want to transition out of, but you're not willing to take a leap and just do it. And it takes a lot, and it can be expensive as well. But I think a lot of the time is, don't ask for something, and if it's handed to you and it's given to you, that you double think it or you overthink it. You have to have the mindset to say, what's the worst that can happen? I really want this. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it. If that's buying a plane ticket the next day, or if that's driving all the way a few hours to get this job interview, or if that's pretending that you're someone and you're not, because you know that you might have to fake it till you make it. And I think that's something that's true, and it is a good tip to even have. So I just want to give the tip out that it does take time. Time is key. It took me 8 months to finally get a job in New York City after I was here for about 3 or 4 interviews for other jobs. So that's me being let down a few times, and that's me willing to lie on my resume. I'm sorry to say it, but people say don't lie, but sometimes if you really want something bad, you'll go in there and say, you know what, I don't live in New York City, but I'm moving, and I got a place to stay, and I will be here on the first day if you need me. So I think those are the really key things that everyone needs to take into perspective, because I think people think it's going to happen right away and you're going to get rejection letters. But are you committed to, if you're trying to get a specific job, are you committed, as in, are you working towards it? I think it's very important that if we really want something, that we use it like a 9 to 5. For instance, if I really want something, I'm working towards it I'm going to get up in the morning at 8:30, and I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to act like I got somewhere to go. I'm going to get up. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to apply to jobs. I'm going to take a lunch break, and I'm going to get back to it, and I'm going to take a break at like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I'm going to be done. But I think you really need to spend the things that you really want to do, just like how you would spend your 9 to 5, and get yourself mentally prepared for it by like acting like you're going to work that day, and you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure you get the job done. So, and that's a big commitment. It's a big time commitment. But if you really want to do it, then you will treat it just like you treat your 9 to 5. So that was a lot of information, but I think those are some of the things that if you really want to do something, you have to be willing to take that leap and that jump. What you think, Mariah?
I agree. And, I agree with Michelle, for sure. Those tips definitely help.
Thanks for making this one-sided, Mariah. Appreciate it. Appreciate
I
it.
agree.
All right, Joe has something to say.
You know, I totally agree with Michelle. When I first got here, I didn't start applying for jobs until I got here, which was a mistake. So back to going on what Michelle was saying about apply before you get here, because I was thankful enough where I had a place to stay, so you know, and they weren't asking for rent, so I was thankful enough for that. So it took me about 2 months to find a job in New York, and I was so silly, I didn't edit my resume, so I had my old address from Buffalo still on my resume for quite some time, at least for a month, until I realized, like, okay, I really need to change this. But when I finally did find a job, and that's the thing about, because there is so many job opportunities in New York, and you may not get all of them. The first one I got, I just took because I finally found something, so I was so excited. But it is basically all in planning and going back to what Michelle was saying, and really, really wanting it. Like, you really have to want it because there is so much competition. So you just got to go hard.
Yes, go hard or go home or stay home. My bad. Go hard or stay home. You know, it's up to you. But I think, you know, when it's time to grind it out, you really want something. Nobody ever says it comes easy. So just you have to really, really work hard at it. Things like that. So, Mariah, do you have any, you know, ill input? Because I definitely want to get into Snapchat convos. Hopefully you had some good ones.
Yes, let's just get into Snapchat convos.
Okay, Snapchat convos with Mariah. How'd it go?
Okay. It went good. I got a lot more responses this time. So let me read. Angie Cruz. Her Snapchat name is Angie_Cruz2. Stated that after college, I lived with my parents for almost 2 years, which allowed me to save up money for furniture and etc. When I moved out, the transition was actually pretty smooth because I had money saved up, so I wasn't struggling, especially the first couple months. And I also love living away from home. Going from living on your own for 4 years, then coming back to rules, especially being in a Hispanic family, can be very hard. So she enjoys her freedom now that she was able to move, but she definitely did the transition of moving into her parents' home to save, which allowed her to be able to leave without any financial burden. Also, had another response as well from Yuna, and Yuna's Snapchat name is Kiss My Crown, and she stated that she is currently wanting to move out. I mean, not wanting to move out, but wanting to move back in, because she actually did move out because she stayed on college campuses and she stayed in student housing, so the switch was easier for her to just stay doing that. But now she's thinking about moving back in with her family because life has gotten just so hard and bills are coming at her very fast. So she wants to save up money so she can move to her dream state, which is California. So that's what her thought process was, which is the same state that I actually want to move to. So I'm like, oh, yay. Somebody wants to move to California too. I'm not the only one in the world that wants to move to California. But yeah, that was that. I got some other conversations, but I'm going to start doing 2 from now on. So yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So definitely, we really appreciate you guys responding to our Snapchat convos, because it's nice to see like different perspectives, of course, when it comes down to transitioning from one place to the next and like how you did it. And I think it's great for us to all give each other advice on how we did it, or even just being okay with saying like, you know, it's okay to move back home with your parents as long as you're doing, you know, the necessary steps it takes to get, you know, not to stay there, put it that way.
Right. And if you want to stay there, you know what?
No, yeah, do.
But just be honest.
No, for real. You want to be, you know, don't get mad at your man for being 35 years old, still living at home with his parents, live at home with your parents. So you know, don't go there. Oh, he still live at home with his mom. Well, so do you. So there goes that. You guys live together with your parents. You guys should have family dinners. Like, don't complain about it. I'm just saying, you know, we might as well bring this family together. We all
be close knit. I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Let's all make it. We should all move in together. It's gonna be like this. Anyway. Okay.
Seriously.
Save that money, save them coins, and then you have someone to watch your kids. Like, I'm just playing.
No, but for real, somebody you can trust watching your kids.
Free child daycares, saves you a lot of money.
Literally, people are crazy nowadays.
Exactly.
It's expensive, and people are just crazy in general how they treat children.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, that was Snapchat Convos, y'all. So thank you for weighing in. We definitely appreciate it, like Michelle was saying.
Of course. Yeah, definitely. Keep giving your feedback because we love it.
Please
we need it.
Keep giving feedback.
I do want to go into Black Business of the Week. I did have a spinoff. I switched the tone this week because many of the times we do talk about, what a Black Business of the Week should be and what it should be like and how we should support it and where it is and things like that. But I've noticed that it's not always easy to support Black businesses, and I'm not sure if Mariah, if you felt the same way, but I have. And the reason why I switched the tone on this one is because just recently, last Sunday after church, we went to a Black-owned business. It's called CeeLo's or something like that. And mind you, it opened at 12. Did it open at 12? No, we got there and they made us wait 40 minutes to take our order because they weren't ready and they didn't care about if we were waiting or not. And I think sometimes in a couple of Black businesses, do we get the service that we want? And I even heard, and one more example, I heard my friend talking on her Snapchat. She was taking her daughter to doctors, and of course she's supporting a Black business or a Black hospital where there's a lot of Black people. And mind you, they were very disrespectful. They didn't help her out. And then she mentioned in her snap that this is why I'm taking my daughter to the white people because they take care of business. And I was like, whoa, what's going on in our Black businesses that's causing us, why is it so hard for us to go and support them? What you think?
I don't know. I guess I have sometimes experienced just, I guess, I don't know. I haven't personally had it though. I'm not going to lie. I haven't had a problem with the Black business personally, but I do see people that are like, they're just very slow with their service. They just slide their feet. They don't care. And I've also heard the other side of it. Like, well, every time somebody comes to me as a Black business, they ask me, why y'all charge this much? Can y'all go down to y'all price? Can I get a discount? So I've heard both sides to the story. But that's, it's true. It's very, I guess it's true. Like, I'm not going to say nobody's true. Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to this one. I can't. Go ahead, Joe. You talk.
I think it's so hard because like Michelle was kind of talking about, I'm not saying all Black businesses, but some Black businesses are known to slack on their service. Like it's a couple Black businesses where I would support, but in the back of my mind, I know, they're a little janky. It may, I may not have the best experience. So, I think that's why it is kind of hard for us to support Black businesses, but definitely the ones who are up to par is doing their thing. Like we definitely should support them.
I agree. Cause there's a lot of Black owned businesses out here in New York City that Jeff and I go to all the time, and it's nothing we complain about ever. So I think, I know you mentioned like people going saying, can you take your prices down? This is too expensive. But knowing how hard it is to keep a Black business open, or even how hard it is for them to even get to where they were, that we shouldn't go in complaining about that. We just have to understand that we have to work twice as hard to keep afloat, and we should just support each other in that mission. So when it is time to, expand and things like that those prices will drop eventually, and we just have to support it why it's there. So I'm not saying don't support Black businesses, but I'm just saying I can see how there are some chains where it is really hard. But what do we do? What did I do this Sunday? I really wanted them shrimp and fries, so we waited for 40 minutes. Even though they kind of made us upset, at the end of the day, we still put our money into another Black, a Black pocket.
And the thing is, when we got the food, it wasn't all that good to me. Like, we waited the 40 minutes, and I thought, like, okay, we waited this time, the food is going to be spectacular. It wasn't. I don't know. What do you think, Michelle? How do you think the food was?
It was straight. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna talk about. I'm over here like, yeah, support black business. You're gonna say, yeah, and I waited for 40 minutes and the food wasn't even that good. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you would think if we wait, you would think if we waited this allotted amount of time that the food was gonna turn out amazing. Like, we were one of the first customers. You would think the food would be fresh. Like, I'm sorry, it wasn't all that great.
Okay. Anyway, support black businesses still, even if it's hard and you gotta wait 40 minutes, and even if the food's not that good, we just gotta keep them alive, keep them afloat, do what we gotta do.
Constructive feedback. Hey, I would appreciate if the food was hotter and y'all came out on time. It would have made it a more enjoyable experience for me, just so they know what to do better next time.
Give them some good feedback.
I don't know.
And the thing is, we all know as black people, us just being black, we have to go 10 times as harder. We, like, the way we show things and the way we do things, it has to be 10 times as better, better than the white people, just for us to get respect. So
that's true. And black people be ready to put you down, but they won't put it on that Yelp, though. But white people love Yelp. They created that thing. They created that reviews thing. Anyway, let me stop. Yeah, so that was, our black business of the week that I wanted to discuss. But if you guys have any feedback on maybe how we can continue to help black businesses stay afloat, then, definitely tune in and let us know, and, put your feedback, put your questions and things like that, because I feel like this is something that does need to be discussed, nationwide or whatever, Of course. So, Mariah, you have any other last minute, tips, or, how'd your weekend go, or anything you want to, put us in?
Outro, little closing comments. Well, my closing comments is go see Girls Trip. It is an amazing movie. Also, yeah, like we Michelle were saying, we're not ganging up on you or anything to move out your parents' house. If you want to live there, be honest with yourself and you can still stay there. But this is more so trying to talk to those that are trying to get out and they're just wanting some tips and tricks on how to get out. What we're saying is, if you would like to leave your parents' house, definitely be honest with yourself and let you know if you do or not. And if you do, this is more so geared to those who do want to leave and kind of the ways to go about doing so. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it.
I think the transition is really important, and I hope that this episode today kind of give you guys a few tips on, what to consider when you do try to transition, or what kind of mindset that you do need to have to transition. And if you are comfortable with being where you are, that is okay. I'm not going to down talk you. Just don't go around talking to other people saying how much you want to move, because no one wants to hear you. I'm sorry. You talk about you want to move since you was in the 5th grade and you are still here and you are 32. Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it, people. That's all I have to say. So the transition is very important. If you ever have tips, or if you want more tips on how to transition, because we have people who've been there and done that, please, comment and ask, and we definitely want to help you out in the transition process. Yeah, and kind of be a hand. You can always come to, if you want to visit New York City. I'm not saying you can sleep on my couch if I don't know you, but, I'll help you with some tips. Use your network and get out and explore and do what you got to do what you got to do. Yes.
You have any thoughts, Joe? TheJoShow.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Michelle and Mariah for having me on their show, and to also go subscribe and like my YouTube channel. It is TheJoShow. Like I was saying, it's fitness, beauty, and lifestyle videos. So, and you can also find me on Instagram at Anita, ANITA, Joe _, and on Snapchat at Anita, ANITA, Joe. I'm on Snapchat more, so follow me on Snapchat.
Joe with an E?
Joe. Oh, I'm sorry. Joe, just J-O, no E.
So
we'll make sure to have her @names and everything underneath our description for our video as well.
Definitely. So definitely go and subscribe. Let's know what she has to say. Of course, support, because that's what we should all be doing on Melanin Voices, supporting each other. Yes. Yeah. All right. Anything else, Mariah?
That's it, y'all. That's all for me.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into Melanin Voices. Of course, hit us up on Melanin Voices. Follow us on our Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube. We are really, really working hard. I'm telling you, I'm going to put the computer in front of my husband after this podcast to help us get on the
podcast app. Because somebody else asked me that one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
I know, but I've been trying. And I keep seeing it.
You have been trying.
But this is what happens when you have to depend on other people. And we tried our hardest, but at this point, it's like, okay, now I got to depend on somebody else to help us get to that level. So I'm going to try. I'm going to keep trying. And hopefully a lot of people have asked us, are you guys on the podcast app? No, we're not. But follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and still support. But we're going to be on there soon. And when we do get on there, I better see. It's like, let me stop.
I better see some reviews. No, don't stop wanting it. So we're going to give it to you, and we want some support in doing so. You're going to stop, but I'm going to keep going.
Exactly. So, but in the meantime, please, listen to us on YouTube, subscribe, and share. We really, really appreciate it. And please tune in to next week. Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. We're done. Bye. Bye.
Listen.